千里之行，始于足下. A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Eric Lin, where we delve deeply into the Daodejing by Lao Tzu. So all of these concepts in the Tao definitely come into clearer focus when we illustrate them with examples and stories. For this particular one, when we talk about the virtue of belief, the virtue of goodness, there's a story that is particularly suitable. So that story is the friendship of Guan and Bao. So these are actually historical figures. So these are not fictional characters, but historical figures that once walked the earth. One of them, Guan. The other one, Bao Shuya. So what went on, what transpired between them is a historical account, things that actually happened. Their story is called Guan Bao Zhi Jiao. The four characters that translate to the friendship of Guan and Bao. Guan, this one here, comes from the surname of Guanzong. Bao, this one here, the second character, comes from the surname of Bao Shuya. Zhi, same thing, the apostrophe S, or of, O-F. Jiao, friendship. So let me tell you about this story. This story comes to us from the spring and autumn period, which is right before the warring stage period, which was the time of Lao Tzu 2,500 years ago. So this was a little before that. So I can very much start out by saying once upon a time in ancient China, there were two friends who grew up together, Guanzong and Bao Shuya. When they were young men, they decided to go into business together because they had grown up together, they were friends, so why not? Let's go into business together. They agreed to be equal partners, and they were able to make a modest profit. However, when it came time to split the profits, Guanzong, the gentleman to the left, always ended up with more. People saw this and they commented on that it wasn't fair. They said, Guanzong is taking advantage of Bao Shuya. It's clear, it's taking more money. But we know how the business was started. Bao Shuya was the one who came up with the initial funds to invest in the business, to start the business. So he's actually the owner of the business, not his friend, Guanzong. Bao Shuya should take more. At the very least, they should split the profits 50-50. So why is Guanzong taking more than his fair share? So Bao Shuya heard this, and he said to them, you don't understand. I appreciate that you are well-meaning, looking out for my best interest, but you don't understand that Guanzong, he came from a poor background. He should definitely take a little more. I'm totally fine with it. So this silenced the critics. Later on, and this was because even before the warring stage period, during the spring and autumn period, there were already many battles going on between different factions, different kingdoms. Both of them, as able-bodied young men, were drafted into military service. On the battlefield, Guan would always stay in the back. People noticed that he would never charge ahead. He seemed totally lacking in courage. So they criticized him for this. What a coward. They disliked him because of it. But once again, Bao Shuya said to them, "You don't understand. Guan has an elderly mother at home. He's the only child. Of course, he has to make sure he's okay. If something happens to him, who's going to take care of his elderly mother?" And again, this silenced the critics. So later on in life, both of these men held positions of authority and responsibility. However, there was a problem. With Guan he always seemed to have issues with his job performance. He got let go, he got fired from quite a few jobs because of it. Once again, people saw this and they mocked him. Couldn't hold down a job. Why, why so horrible at whatever job he happened to take on? Once again, Bao Shuya said to them, "You don't understand. Guan had a string of bad luck. He had bad luck with the jobs. The jobs he found, they were just not suited for him. He's actually very capable. He will eventually do great things." So this wasn't quite convincing to the critics, but they went away mumbling to themselves. Sometime after that, the ruler of the Qi kingdom came to Bao Shuya with a request. The king said, "We have gone through a period of chaos. Now we finally have peace. We have a chance to rebuild the kingdom. I want you, Bao Shuya, to work for me as my minister to help me do the rebuilding." Now, you see, this was an amazing offer of a powerful position. It's a position that was second in authority only to the king. So any number of people would have killed to get that position. And this was being offered, it was dropped in Bao Shuya's lap. Surprisingly, Bao Shuya said, "Your Majesty, I'm very grateful for this honor, but my abilities are not sufficient for such an important responsibility." The king was dismayed to hear this, and the king said, "If you won't help me, how can I rebuild my kingdom and increase prosperity for my people? I want to attain greatness for my kingdom." Bao Shuya said, "Your Majesty, I recommend Guan." This was shocking to the king to hear this recommendation because previously Guan had worked for his rival, another prince. So he said, "What? Listen, you should know that he plotted my downfall and it wasn't even that long ago. Guan is someone that I want to kill, and you're recommending him?" Bao Shuya said, "Your Majesty, he opposed you only because you worked for your rival at the time. In reality, he bears no ill will towards you at all. Indeed, he will make an extremely loyal minister to you, just as he was loyal to your rival." But, the king said, "Your Majesty," Bao Shuya said, "do you wish for the kingdom of Qi to be more powerful and stronger than ever before? More powerful and stronger than all the other kingdoms? The king said, well, of course. That's why we're talking. That's what I want. Bao Shuya said, then let bygones be bygones. Let Guanzong help you rule your kingdom. He is the one who can help you achieve all of your goals. Eventually, the king was convinced. So he ordered an elaborate ritual to bring Guanzong into his court as his primary advisor. So how did it go? Well, it was exactly as Bao Shuya predicted. Guanzong proved how capable he was. Qi Guo, the kingdom of Qi, became very powerful. The king of Qi Guo never regretted his decision to allow Guanzong to become his minister. Guanzong attained great success, even fame as one of the best at his job, the royal minister. When people asked him, he would often say, my parents raised me and nurtured me, so of course I'm always going to be grateful to them, but the one who truly understands me, the one who truly helps me, my friend, Bao Shuya. So this is the story of the friendship between these two. Now, let me point out one thing. Bao Shuya was steadfast. He believed in his friend when no one else did. This should already remind you of the passage that we have just looked at. Let me bring up the next slide to zero in on that aspect of it. So Bao Shuya knew that his friend was not a coward. His friend was not a cheat. He knew that his friend was good. In business and in battle, he saw only the good in his friend, even when everyone else did not. Everyone else basically saw that Guanzong was trying to cheat by taking a larger share, that he was a coward by hanging back. Then, the virtue of belief in recommending Guanzong to the king. Bao Shuya believed in him, believed in his potential, his capabilities, even when everyone else, including the king, did not. They failed to see that. So now, let me pause for a moment. Let me ask about you, your life. Let me ask you the following question. Is there anyone in your life who knows you better than yourself, who believes in you, even if no one else does? Maybe your parents? Maybe your favorite teacher from the past? Or maybe someone in your life right now? Is there such a person? If such a person exists, how do you feel about this person who has this unwavering belief in you? And if you do not have someone like that, same question, but phrased a little bit differently. If you don't have someone like that in your life, someone who believed in you no matter what, if there was such a person, how would you feel about this person? And definitely feel free to type out your answer at me so we can make this a little more interactive. So think about that for a moment. Wouldn't it be great to have someone like that in your life? How would this person inspire you to bring the best out of you? just as 鲍叔牙 brought out the best in Guanzhong. Now, as you think about that, I want to flip the question around the other way. What if you can be that person for someone else? What if you can be the one to inspire this other person to bring out their best? So you don't have to be Guanzhong, the person who was trusted and believed in, the person who was truthfully seen to be good. You can be 鲍叔牙. You can be that inspirational figure for someone else by really knowing that person, knowing what they can do, knowing their essential good nature, and therefore, when they are with you, there is no question that they would live up to their potential. They will bring out their very best because that is what you expect of them. Now, contemplating those questions, you can see why the virtue of the sage is about the virtue of goodness, no matter who the other person is, and the virtue of belief, no matter what the person is. So this is excellent. I think we're beginning to see the deeper level of the meaning in this chapter. It isn't the surface level translation that you might have seen before. Yeah, the sage is good to everybody because the sage is so compassionate. The sage believes in everybody no matter what. Okay, great. That's the surface level. Now we're talking about how powerful that can be. It transforms lives. It's truly transformational. And that's one of the quote unquote secrets of the sage. Not really a secret at all. It's what they do. It's what they are. It's who they are as people. Naturally inspirational. So how powerful can it be if we now suddenly find a way to know how to be inspirational for others? That's the Tao. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.